The show being over, of all the crowd there was soon but one person left, and he, with his hat under his arm and his snuff-box in his hand, passed among the mirrors on his way out. "I devote you," said this person, turning to the sanctuary, "I devote you to the devil." With that he walked quietly downstairs. His face was of a transparent paleness. The nose, beautifully formed otherwise, was very slightly pinched at the top of each nostril, giving to the whole countenance a look of cruelty. But it was a handsome face, and a remarkable one. Its owner, Monsieur the Marquis, stepped into his carriage and was driven away. Monseigneur might have been warmer in his manner towards him, and under the circumstances it appeared rather agreeable to Monsieur the Marquis to see the common people dispersed before his horses. His man drove as if he were charging an enemy. With a wild rattle and clatter, the carriage dashed through streets and swept round corners, with women screaming before it and men clutching children out of its way. Then, swooping round a street corner by a fountain, one of its wheels came to a little jolt. There was a loud cry, and the horses reared and plunged. But for the latter inconvenience, the carriage would not have stopped. Monsieur the Marquis leaned calmly out. What has gone wrong? A narrow street full of offence and stench, peopled by rags and nightcaps, smelling of rags and nightcaps, hunger everywhere. Hunger staring down from the smokeless chimneys, hunger staring up from the filthy roadway that had no offal among its refuse of anything to eat, hunger rattling its dry bones. What has gone wrong? A scarecrow in a nightcap had caught up a bundle from among the feet of the horses, laid it by the fountain, and was down in the mud, howling over it like a wild animal. "What has happened?" said a ragged and submissive man. "Pardon, Monsieur the Marquis, it is a child." "Why does the man make that abominable noise? Is it his child?" "Excuse me, Monsieur the Marquis, it is a pity. Yes." The father, who'd got up from the ground, suddenly came running at the carriage. Monsieur the Marquis clapped his hand on his sword. The man stopped and stared at him. "Killed! Killed! Dead!" The people closed round and looked at Monsieur the Marquis. There was nothing revealed by the many eyes but watchfulness. Monsieur the Marquis ran his eyes over them all as if they had been rats come out of their holes. "It is extraordinary to me that you people cannot take care of yourselves and your children. One or the other of you is forever in the way. How do I know what injury you've done my horses? Give him that." A gold coin fell. All the heads craned forward. The father called out again, "Dead, dead." He was arrested by the arrival of another man, taller, stronger, for whom the others made way, and on whose shoulder the miserable creature fell, sobbing and crying and pointing to the fountain, where some women were stooped over the motionless bundle. "Be a brave man, my Gaspard. It is better for the little thing to die so than to live. It has died in a moment without pain. Could it have lived an hour as happily? You're a philosopher, you there. How do they call you?" "They call me Defarge." "Pick that up, philosopher, and spend it as you will. The horse is there to the right." Monsieur the Marquis leaned back and was just being driven off with the air of a gentleman who has broken something and paid for it, when his ease was suddenly disturbed by something flying into his carriage and ringing on the floor. A coin! Hold the horse! Who threw that? He looked to the spot where the tall Defarge had stood. But what stood there now was the figure of a dark, stout woman, knitting. Monsieur le Marquis looked from her to the others. You dogs. So cowed was their condition, that not a hand, not a head was raised. Among the men, not one, but the woman who stood knitting lifted her eyes steadily and looked the Marquis in the face. It was not for his dignity to notice it. This has made me very late. Driver. He was driven on, and other carriages after him in quick succession. The general, the admiral, the doctor, the lawyer, the ecclesiastic, the comedy, the opera, the whole fancy ball came whirling by. The rats had crept out of their holes to look on. The women who attended the bundle by the fountain sat watching the running of the water and the rolling of the fancy ball, while the one woman who had stood knitting knitted on with the steadfastness of faith. On that very day there were growing trees already marked to come down to France and be sawn into boards to make a certain movable framework. The waters of the fountain ran, the swift river ran, the day ran into evening, time and tide waited for no man. The rats were sleeping close together in their dark holes again. The fancy ball was lighted up for supper. All things ran their course. In saying farewell to you this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I feel I cannot do so more adequately than by trying to paraphrase 2 or 3 words which were spoken from this desk in the city of New York on the evening of December the 12th, 1867, and that I should say to you in so many words, it has been my honor once again today, as a faithful servant of the public, striving always to do his best, it has been my honor to present before you for your recognition these deeply cherished ideas. And I am most pleasantly conscious through this modern medium of your attention and your most generous sympathy, your obedient servant.
That was Emlyn Williams reading A Fancy Ball, an episode from A Tale of Two Cities. Emlyn Williams as Charles Dickens in one of the many readings with which these evenings he's making history on Broadway at the Bijou Theater in New York.